success, and even their failures. With thousands of young Sri Lankans filled with ambition and hope.
The Gamada Vipos Leadership Series,
where leaders of today shape leaders for tomorrow.
A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudalnayaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture resigns. Debate arises on reasons behind the resignation.
පෝර සම්බන්ධයෙන් උඩඟු ලෙස අවිද්‍යාත්මකව ගත්තු මේ තීන්දුවත් එක්ක අමාත්‍යංශ ලේකම්වරයා අස්සුණයි.
එතුමාගේ පෞද්ගලික අවශ්‍යතාවයක් මත එතුමාට අයින් වෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා කිව්වා. මේ පොහොර අර්බුදයක් හෝ කිසිදු අර්බුදයක් නෙවෙයි.
Inclement weather gradually turns back to normal. Floods in many areas recede. 7 dead sea turtles and a dolphin washes up on the Sri Lankan shoreline. Parts of the Bona Vista coral reef washed up on the Unapatuna beach. Jala National Park opens for a group of tourists for a day amid strict travel restrictions in the country.
And now for the stories in detail. Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture, M.B. Rohana Pushpakumara, has resigned from his position. Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Udgamage expressed his views about the resignation of the Ministry Secretary following a program held in Navalapitiya this morning.
The Secretary came to meet me and told me that he wants to resign from his position due to a personal reason. The fertilizer crisis or any other issue has not driven this decision. You call him and ask that. He requested his resignation due to a personal reason. However, we will fill this void by giving this appointment to the Dean of Agriculture Faculty and the Vice-Chancellor of the Vayamba University. We are embarking on a new era of organic fertilizer. We are going to produce organic fertilizer and start organic farming. We are in need of a team who has expertise on that matter. Everyone we have at the moment is educated only on chemical fertilizer. This is why we are going to appoint the Vice-Chancellor of the Vayamba University as the Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture. M.B. Rohana Pushpakumara graduated from the Colombo and Kalaniya University and entered into state service in 1996 as an Assistant Election Commissioner. Since 1996, M.B. Rohana Pushpakumara was an eminent state sector official in the administrative sector and served as the District Secretary of Galle and Nuwara as well.
Views were expressed on various platforms concerning the resignation of the Secretary to the Agriculture Ministry today.
The
The last Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture resigned due to various influences. Even the present Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture has resigned from his post in the ministry. According to what we heard, the secretaries have resigned because of the government's arbitrary, arrogant and unscientific decisions concerning the fertilizer issue. The farmers need fertilizer for their cultivations during the coming Maha season. There is no fertilizer for the farmers, and because of this scarcity of fertilizer, there will be a shortage of food within the country. There is a plant quarantine act that was established in Sri Lanka in 1981. According to that act, it is prohibited to import plants and microorganisms to Sri Lanka. This has now grown into such a serious issue that the Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture has to resign from his position. I think he was wise enough to speculate that he will become the scapegoat of this plan at the end. If they keep on violating this act, these politicians will lose the next election and go home. Mahindananda will go home. They are suddenly trying to switch to organic fertilizer to create a market for their friends.
තමන්ගේ ඉන්න සහචරු ටිකට වෙළඳාමක් හදලා බිස්නස් එකක් හදලා
I believe that this transition from chemical fertilizer to organic fertilizer should have been done after giving prior notice. These steps were not taken because the government does not have sufficient funds. This is being done to uplift the livelihoods of the people. What are these resigning secretaries trying to say to the government regarding the fertilizer issue? They are highlighting the failing nature of the government. It is because of the wrong decisions taken by the government that these secretaries are resigning from their positions.
මොකද්ද මේ යුද්ධේ? මේ යුද්ධේ පොර දෙනවා. පොර ගන්න පොලිම. පොර දෙනවා. පොර දැන් එයාලා කියනවා මේ මිටි 300 තියෙන්නේ. 150කට දෙනවා කියනවා. අපි කියන්නේ අපි මෙතන 400 ගානක් ගොයියෝ ඉන්නවා. රෑ 9ට අපි මිනිස්සු මේ පොර ගන්නකෝ යන්නද?
The views were expressed by farmers at a Gala Agrarian Services Centre in Matale yesterday.
Farmers queued up outside the Gala Agrarian Services Centre to obtain fertilizer yesterday.
දැන් නිරෝධය නීති කඩ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. අපිට දැන් ඒවා බලන්න අවස්ථාවක් නැහැ මෙතන. අපි ලොකු අමාරු කරලා ගොවිතැන් පත්වලට පොහොර නැහැ.
Our correspondent at the location brought this issue to the attention of the Agrarian Services officer.
මිස් මෙතන අද පොහොර ගන්න ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා කට්ටිය ඊයේ රෑ ඉඳන් ඉන්නවා කියලා කියනවා. දැන් පොහොර මිටි 300 ගණන් වෙලා තියෙන මෙතන 700 ගණක් ඉන්නවලු මේකලොන්ට මේ
It is not practical to offer it to 700 farmers. Those who have gathered should form a queue. We shall then distribute what is available. I can't distribute more than one pack. There are 300 fertilizer bags and 100 bags of TSP fertilizer. I brought these stocks with much difficulty. I attended to these matters yesterday as well. We too are exposed to risk. I have children at home.
Many farmers who stayed until this evening in anticipation of purchasing fertilizer had to turn back empty-handed. Farmers in the Sangili Kanadarava area in Madavachia are watching their crops turn yellow by the day.
ළමයෙකුට අම්මගේ තන කිරි දෙනවා. එකපාරම ඒ ළමයා කොත්තමල්ලි දීලා නැගිටිනවද? ඒ ළමයා පදම් කරන්න ඕන යම් කිසි දෙයකට. කොම්පෝස් පොහොර වලට හුරු කරන්න අවුරුදු දෙකක් යනවා. ඉතින් එකපාරම මේගොල්ල කියනවා අපි කොම්පෝස් හදනවා මැෂින් ගේනවා. දැන් මේ තියෙන තත්ත්වෙත් එක්ක වීමිල රුපියල් 100ට නෙමෙයි 1000ට ගත්තත් වැඩක් නැහැ. මේ කුඹුරු වල රම්පවුම් පෙහෙන්නේ නැහනේ.
කණ්ඩ දෙයක් නැහැ මිනිහෙකුට. කුලී වැඩක් කරගන්න විදියක් නැහැ.
We don't have food. We have lost our jobs as well. Our superiors exploit our labor and enjoy their lives. They are earning funds that would be sufficient for generations. Party politics is irrelevant to us. What we need is fertilizer to engage in cultivation and to earn a living for our families.
The Department of Meteorology says showers will occur at times in western, Sabargamu and northwestern provinces and Gaul, Matra, Nurelia and Kandy districts. Showers or thunder showers can also be expected in a few places in the Ua and eastern provinces during the evenings or at night. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. The Disaster Management Centre says that 16 people have died and 3 people remain missing as a result of the inclement weather that battered multiple areas across Sri Lanka last week. Meanwhile, the bund of the Jala canal has got damaged due to the rise of water levels in the canal.
This is the bund of the Jala canal, which was washed away due to the rise of water levels in the canal.
Around 5,000 houses in the Lake City housing scheme are damaged due to these floods. We plan to do a feasibility study on the current situation and bring a permanent solution to this issue.
With the support of the armed forces, residents in the area use sandbags to control the flood situation.
මේක අපි හිතන්නේ ජාල කියන්නේ හරි බෝතල් කටක් බොටල් නෙක් එකක් වගේ.
Jala canal is like a bottleneck. The water which flows in the Attanagalu Oya flows to the sea through this canal. For some time, we have noticed that some parts of this bund are weak, and when there is an emergency flood situation, with the help of the Navy and Army, we put sandbags to strengthen these weak points in the bund. But there is no permanent solution for this issue.
Most severe impact due to the inclement weather was reported from the districts of Gampaha, Colombo, Kalutara and Galle. Operations to rescue people who are stranded in unsafe locations were spearheaded by Sri Lanka Army, Sri Lanka Navy and Sri Lanka Police today as well. 290 houses in the Dompe Divisional Secretariat have been inundated and 1,158 people living in the area have been affected as a result. People who have been battered by inclement weather are currently sheltered at the Malvana Central College. The main reason for this is not cleaning the canals. It was only the Grama Seva Niladhari who came and looked into our matters. If something like this happens to us, we have nowhere to go. We are completely cornered here. We got a few things done after talking to some of the residents. Still, no one has offered to help us. Flood water in the low-lying areas of Hangwalla has not yet receded.
There
286 houses in the Sitavaka Divisional Secretariat have been inundated. Flood water in the area spanning from Kalaniya to Mudungoda have not yet receded as well. The area spanning from Ambatale to Valivita was flooded after the Kalani River overflowed.
We are boarded. Our houses are submerged in water completely. We do not have anything to eat or drink. I asked one of my friends to bring me food. I am going to collect my food.
How many people must be starving in this country at the moment? That is the reality. Daily wage earners are left helpless. Everyone is helpless at the moment. This is the manner in which many low-lying areas in Kalanimulla, Angoda and Kotuvila have been inundated due to incessant rains. Flood water in Velevatta in Vellampitiya is not receded as of yet. Many houses in several areas including Vidiyavatta and Moranna in Gampaha were inundated. Residents allege the reason for this is the bridge near the Vikramarachi Ayurvedic Hospital on the Colombo Kandy main road not being renovated properly. The bund has been constructed crossing the canal to build the bridge. Because the water is blocked there, the flood water is flowing here. Many low-lying areas in Pollattegoda and Dodangoda have been flooded due to heavy showers reported in the last few days. 7th mile post in Anguruatota on the Horana Matugama main road have been completely submerged in flood water and the transport in the area was hampered as a result. What you are doing is wrong. Please do not hinder what we are trying to do. Do not violate the quarantine regulations. If you do so, I will have to take action. The Baddegama water gauge saw a high value today as well. Due to this, many low-lying areas beside the Ging River were inundated. Trees and garbage that flowed from the upper portion of the Ging River have now stuck at the Wakwella Bridge in Galle. Officials of Sri Lanka Navy and Department of Irrigation participated in the cleaning process of the bridge. Due to the flooding of many roads including the Baddegama Dodangoda and Baddegama Agaliya road, vehicle movement was completely hampered.
Taking a look at other local stories, the voyage data recorder or the VDR of the Express Pearl ship has been handed over to the Criminal Investigations Department for further investigations. The Navy recovered the VDR of the ship yesterday.
The police said that according to a court order, the VDR of the ship that is with the CID will be handed over to the government analyst for a period of 2 days for analysis. The Marine Environmental Protection Authority has asked the captain of the Salvo ship to provide a report on the status of the oil on the ship that sunk. The chairperson of MIPA, attorney at law Darshini Lahandapura, had informed them to carry out activities in a manner that would not impact the Sea of Sri Lanka and the marine environment, including the beach. The Secretary to the Ministry of Environment, Dr. Anil Jasinghe, noted that 40 containers that washed ashore from the fire-stricken ship have been taken to a yard in Vattala for investigations.
Shipping experts have raised a number of questions regarding the arrival of the Express Pearl to the Sea of Sri Lanka. If the ship had a leaking dangerous goods container and the Qatar port had refused to repair it, can this captain still leave with a dangerous cargo container that is not seaworthy? Knowing the problem, why didn't the captain go back to the Dubai port that initially loaded the containers, as the ship has to pass Dubai during the ship's voyage from Qatar to India? Even after coming to India, knowing that the container is not cargo worthy, why did the captain sail with such a risk on board? Did the captain get permission from the ship owners via an agent in Sri Lanka to proceed to Colombo? Shipping experts point out that the regular procedure requires the ship and her cargo to be cargo worthy for a voyage to happen. Meanwhile, in claiming compensation for the immense damage caused by the Express Pearl disaster, attention must be focused on the role of the local agent of this vessel.
Moving on to some tragic news. Carcasses of a number of turtles had washed ashore on several beaches of the island today.
Carcasses of a number of turtles had washed ashore on several beaches of the island. The carcasses of 3 turtles had washed up on the Koskoda shore. The carcass of 1 turtle had washed up on the Payagala North shore. A carcass of another turtle had washed ashore along the Devala beach today. Carcasses of turtles had also washed ashore along the Vaduva Thalpitiya coast and the Angulana Thalpitiya coast this morning. A number of dead turtles had also washed ashore during the past few days as well. 28th of May, the Panadura beach. On the same day, along the Nigambu beach. 30th of May, Toduvava beach. 3rd of June, Unavatuna beach. 5th of June, Mount Lavinia. Meanwhile, the Marine Environment Protection Authority said that investigations are being carried out to ascertain as to if these turtles had died due to the effects of the recent Express Pearl disaster. The authority confirmed that remains of the turtles have been sent to the veterinary unit of the Peradeniya University for examinations.
The turtle is a unique animal with a lifespan of hundreds of years. Our beaches are generally known as the home of these turtles. Of thousands of eggs laid on a beach somewhere, maybe 1 might survive to adolescence. Then too, it would have to face various predators and live through various obstacles. But in the past few days, our beach has turned into a graveyard for these turtles instead of it being a home. Even today, 7 turtles had washed ashore. Why are these turtles dying?
We need to focus on the impact that the dangerous chemicals that entered our seas after the incident on board the Express Pearl and how it has affected the turtles. Sri Lanka is an island where many turtles lay their eggs. This is a very dangerous situation. We expected that such a situation could arise. There is also a risk of this situation aggravating in the future. There were some arguments made that after the chemicals fall into the sea, they get diluted, and because of that, the effect it can have on the sea is minimal. As a specialist on marine life, I completely reject that argument. Turtles have a greater tendency of being affected by these chemicals. Turtles are predators, and the animals that they prey on could have ingested these chemicals. Therefore, the possibility of the chemicals entering the body of a turtle when they consume their prey is very high. We are not trying to say that the turtles will directly consume the chemicals that spilled into the sea. there is also a possibility of these effects to even spread among humans.
අපි මෙතෙන්දි ගොඩනගන්නේ අවසානයේදී මේක මිනිස්සු දක්වා අපිට පැතිරෙන්න පුළුවන්.
Meanwhile, a carcass of a dolphin has washed ashore on the beach in Indurua this morning. The dead dolphin is about 4 feet long. Sections of the Bonavista coral reef in Rumasala, that is a centerpiece in the tourist attractions in the area, have washed ashore. Environmental groups in the area point out that this could be the result of some anomaly in the seas. Many parts of the Bonavista coral reef in Rumasala have been destroyed and it has washed ashore. The amount of debris that washed ashore could fill a few tractors. Has this happened because of the fire that erupted on board the Express Pearl or because of the current monsoon season? We request the authorities to reveal the truth behind this, because the destruction of these tourist attractions in Rumasala must be stopped.
These views were expressed by the fishing communities on the matter.
The sea creatures feel these destructions better than we do, and when they feel it, they will swim away from those areas. They might actually swim away from the west coast. Then what will happen to the fishermen living in the west coast? Many of the fish we find in the deep waters are already dead. Turtle carcasses are floating in the sea. Only a few of these carcasses wash ashore. Now who is going to investigate these issues?
Everything that we have is because of Mother Nature. But this government, from the day it came to power, is doing various destructions. We saw this happening on many occasions. Is the environment reciprocating this? Is this the curse of Mother Nature? This is a reaction to our action.
ප්‍රතික්‍රියා පරිසරයක් දක්වන්නේ. Every reaction has a reaction කියලා නියමයක් තියෙනවා.
The problem is that the rulers who are responsible for this destruction are safe. The people who are helpless are suffering. They die because of landslides. They get caught in floods. The marine life also has to undergo the same fate.
මේ පස් කඳු වලට යට වෙලා මැරෙනවා, ගංගා වලට අහු වෙලා අද ගංගා වල ගහගෙන යනවා. මහ මුහුදේ ජීවත් වෙන සත්තුන්ටත් ඒ ඉරණම අත්දැලා තියෙනවා.
The Jala National Park will be opened on the 8th of June for a group of members of the French Navy who will visit Sri Lanka.
When inquired, a senior official at the Wildlife Department said that they were informed to open the park for a visit by a specific group of French naval officers. The official also revealed that all the activities of the tourist group are being coordinated by the Ministry of Tourism. When questioned by Newsfirst, the Sri Lanka Navy confirmed that a ship belonging to the French Navy is due to arrive in Sri Lanka soon. However, the Navy added that no training exercises would be conducted between the naval forces of the two nations.
The leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, has emphasized that the opening of tourist destinations, including Jala, to foreign tourists under the tourist bubble system is endangering the lives of the people of the country.
Issuing a statement, the leader of the opposition said that Sri Lanka was a country that brought in COVID-19 and tourists when all countries in the world closed their borders to tourists at the beginning of the pandemic. The leader of the opposition points out that at the beginning of the second wave of COVID-19 in the country, the government brought down Ukrainian tourists and allowed the quarantine regulations to be blatantly violated. The leader of the opposition questioned the meaning of the government's arbitrary process of opening the country to tourists and pushing it into another horrific wave of COVID-19 against a backdrop where the number of COVID-19 infections and deaths in the island is on the rise. He reiterated that securing the lives of the people should be the government's first, second and third priority at this juncture.
The plane carrying 1 million doses of the Chinese-made Sinopharm vaccine arrived in Sri Lanka this morning. State Minister Professor Chan Jayasumana stated that steps will be taken to provide the Sinopharm vaccine doses to the people of 12 districts. The State Minister said that another 1 million doses of Sinopharm vaccine will be arriving in Sri Lanka next week. The government plans to carry out investment projects as public-private partnerships on the property in the vicinity of Colombo Port City through Selendiva Investments has attracted much public debate.
What is the Selendiva Investments Limited?
This is a company that has already been established. The General Treasury holds 100% ownership of this company. This company can carry out investment projects or any property owned by the Urban Development Authority. Selendiva Investments Limited is tasked with identifying potential investments and facilitating them.
How will the investment project be implemented under Selendiva Investments Limited?
As per the cabinet paper, a special purpose vehicle or an SPV has been established under Selendiva Investments Limited. This SPV has been created solely for a specific investment project. If a decision is reached to carry out an investment project on any property that belongs to the UDA, another SPV should be established under the holding SPV. This second SPV will identify the investors and carry out the development project.
What are the properties that have been identified for investments?
As per the cabinet paper presented by the Prime Minister on the 5th of May this year, 3 SPVs have been announced thus far. The 3 investment portfolios are Colombo Fort, Heritage Square, immovable property development and the government-owned hospitality sector. This would allow investors to invest in several high valuable locations in the city of Colombo and surrounding areas.
Property that comes under Colombo Fort Heritage Square.
Grand Oriental Hotel and York Building, 1.57 acres. Gafoor Building, 0.75 acres. General Post Office, 0.81 acres. All these properties are located around Colombo Fort.
Property that comes under immovable property development.
Sino Restaurant, 1.37 acres. Water's Edge Mixed Development Project, 5 acres. The International Coordination Center, Kankasanture, Jaffna.
Property that comes under the government-owned hospitality sector.
Hilton Colombo and Sports Center. Grand Hyatt, Colombo. Plans have been made to open these projects for investments under the SPVs created under Selendiva Investments Limited. The cabinet paper has also suggested a system where the current shareholders of these projects would receive benefits. Attention has also been drawn to making investments for these projects through the Colombo Stock Exchange.
Venerable Dr. Omalpe Sobititera says that the selling of national resources and separatism is still prevailing within the country.
රත් වෙච්ච තැටියට දැන් රොටි පුච්චන වැඩපිළිවෙලක් රජය කරගෙන යනවා. රජයට අවශ්‍ය සෑම පනතක්ම
It is clear that this government is trying to pass every bill and every law it wants while using the COVID situation and these environmental destructions taking place within the country in its favor. What we can see today is that separatism is continuing within the country. We can see that the earlier attempts to separate the country using weapons are still pursuing. But this time it's happening through agreements and money. Suppose the strategy of relentlessly selling the country's resources to foreigners is continuing. In that case, separating the country will also pursue, and many factors supporting these claims are piling up. We are not silent on these issues. We are not closing our eyes. In such a catastrophe, we are ready to make the maximum possible sacrifice, and we would be happy to do that.
එවන් මහා විපතක් අවස්ථාවකදී කළ හැකි උපරිම පරිත්‍යාග කරන්නට අපි ඉදිරිපත් වෙනවා කියන බවත් සතුටෙන් පළ කළ යුතුව තියෙනවා.
බෞද්ධාලෝක මාවතේ තියෙන කිංසි පාරට මූණලා තියෙන
A Gazette notification has been prepared to take over about 70 perches at the Bauddhaloka Vihare on Kingsi Road on Bauddhaloka Mawata. Sigiriya will also be sold in the future, claiming it is to shape the economy of the country. There were non-Buddhist politicians who had become leaders to some extent in this country. We have not seen such action even from them. That is why we see this as a serious incident. At present, the lands in the economic hubs of the country are, for example, the land where the police headquarters is located. It is located near the port city. It is economically very valuable. There are reports that this too is going to be sold to a foreign country. Therefore, the government has taken steps to take over the lands in such economic hotspots and relocate the government buildings that were on these lands to other areas.
නිසා මේකත් දැන් විදේශ රටකට විකිණීම සඳහා උපක්‍රම යොදා ගැනීමෙන් පවතිනවා කියන තොරතුරු ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
රටේ වැදගත්
විශේෂම ඓතිහාසික පෞරාණික වටිනාකම් තියෙන භූමි සහ වෙළඳ වටිනාකම් තිබෙන ඉඩම් විකිණීම සඳහා සෙන්දිවාල් කියන සමාගමක් ගොඩනගන්න. මේ කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාව. දැන් කවුරු
Many lands in the country that has an historic and archaeological value are being sold to Selendiva Investment Limited. If anyone is approving this economic plan, please do not be saddened by any of this. This will be the destination of our economic journey. Selling off historic buildings and important commercial land in Colombo is the culmination of all this. The end result of this economic journey is to clear large areas of forest lands and sell it off to multinational companies. Now we are reaching the end of this economic journey. The economic tactics followed by this government is the reason for this end result. Ranil Wickremesinghe had a double-faced regime, but Ranil Wickremesinghe was not fast-paced in selling our national assets. Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga picked up the pace during the first phase of her rule. She slowed down during the second phase. It was Gotabaya Rajapaksa's government who sold our national assets the fastest. That is why the Port City Economic Commission Bill was passed swiftly. That is why Selendiva Investment Limited was formed very swiftly. That is why the Mineral Oil Act was passed in an expeditious manner.
සමාගම ගොඩනගින්නේ. ඒ නිසා තමයි ඉතා වේගයෙන් කනිතෙල් පනත සංශෝධනය කරන්න යෝජනා වෙන්නේ.
සමුද්‍රේ තියෙන කට්ටිලට විතරයිලු කන්දා දෙන්නේ. අනිත් අඩුකාස් මිනිසුන්ට කන්දා දෙන්නේ. එකක් කරන් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. පිටි එකක් කරන් දෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ මිනිසුන්ට දෙන්නේ. එතකොට අනිත් මිනිසුන්ට දෙන්න කියපු සල්ලි කෝ? මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ දෙන සල්ලි කෝ?
Now, this was a situation that arose at the Kurunegala Divisional Secretariat today. The residents of Ilupugedara gathered near the Divisional Secretariat with the expectation of receiving the 5,000 rupee allowance.
The residents gathered near the Kurunegala Divisional Secretariat today on the instructions of the Samudri Development Office in the area.
නොසෙලන නීතිය සෙලවෙන දලියට රටවිච්ච
ඡන්ද ෆෝම් එක පිළිවෙලට ඇවිල්ලා දෙන්න පුළුවන් නම් එයි මේ වගේ මිනිස්සුන්ට දෙන්න දේ අනිත් දෙන්න බැරි මේගොල්ලන්ට
දුප්පටින්ගේ බල දැවෙන හැම ඒකට වදිනවා හොඳට.
The people protested, complaining that they were asked to come to the Divisional Secretariat when it was possible to distribute the 5,000 rupee allowance in the community hall in their own village. Later, the Kurunegala police also arrived at the scene. The acting Samudri Development Officer stated that the people were called to the Kurunegala Divisional Secretariat as he did not receive the key to the community hall in the village. All these people are aware that I didn't get the key to the community hall. I even informed the Divisional Secretary. I have been in state service for 26 years. No one can take over any government property. However, the Kurunegala police intervened and controlled the situation and continued the distribution of the 5,000 rupee allowance.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Good night.